In the city of Austin, the capital of Texas, a Labrador puppy entered the world carrying a destiny far from perfect. They named him Lucky. The name meant fortunate, yet from the very first moment of his life, fate seemed to mock him. Lucky was born with a facial deformity that made him look different from other dogs. Apart from that unusual face, he was just like any other puppy: bright eyes, a soft coat, and a heart yearning for affection. But that single difference was enough to make the world turn its back on him. Time and again, Lucky went through for homes. Each adoption felt like a new beginning, but before long, the door would close, and he was sent back to the shelter. Even when adoption was offered for free, people refused to keep him. The fourth time was crueler still. The family that had taken him in tied him to a tree outside, claiming their cat disliked him and constantly picked fights. In that cold household, Lucky knew no comfort. He often went hungry, had no dry place to sleep, and when the family decided to move, they simply left him behind at an animal shelter. For this fragile creature, even a scrap of bread was a battle. It was as though the world had conspired to prove one thing: that Lucky did not deserve love. But he lived in an age of social networks, and that, perhaps, was his one true stroke of luck. A volunteer took a few photos of him and posted them on Twitter. Those images of a deformed little dog with sorrowful eyes still clinging to hope touched the heart of a woman named Jamie Holt. Without hesitation, Jamie decided to adopt him. What seemed like a happy ending soon turned into another test. Once home, Jamie discovered that Lucky was infested with fleas and suffering from heartworm disease. For a dog already weakened by neglect and malnutrition, the treatment was risky. During deworming, his facial deformity worsened, and his life hung by a thread. Most people would have given up, as his previous owners had done. But Jamie was different. She refused to abandon him. She insisted on MRI scans, treatment, and intensive care, spending nearly $8,000. When Lucky, reduced to skin and bones, clung to life in an oxygen chamber for an entire week, even the doctors asked if it was worth it. Jamie's answer was unwavering yes. He is worth it against all odds. Lucky pulled through. Slowly, he began to recover. To mark this new chapter, Jamie gave him a new name: Botox, a playful twist on Botox, the cosmetic injection. She joked, "It's as if he's had cosmetic surgery, but this shot was so expensive, I couldn't possibly afford another one." As time passed, the miracle became clear. A year later, Botox had transformed into the very embodiment of resilience. No longer the skeletal, rejected dog, he was now radiant with joy. He smiled constantly, ran freely, splashed happily in the water, and even became the proud father of 2 puppies. Strangers who saw him for the first time often recoiled or mocked his unusual face. Jamie only shrugged, smiling, sometimes tying a bow round his neck to soften his appearance. For behind that face was a gentle, affectionate soul. Botox welcomed everyone warmly. When Jamie brought home a kitten, he instantly became the big brother, watching over it with patience and tenderness. Like a devoted guardian, he was endlessly curious too. Once, Jamie found him staring at a spider for hours, observing its every move with childlike fascination. It was his way of exploring the world, not with fear or aggression, but with quiet wonder. Today, Botox is no longer the dog that people returned, no longer the unwanted stray. He has found his true home, a place where no flaw could erase his worth. For the first time, he is loved wholly, completely, unconditionally. His story is not merely about survival. It is about the redemptive power of compassion. In the weakest of creatures, in the most overlooked lives, love can work miracles. Jamie's choice to stand by him when everyone else turned away proved one simple truth: every living being deserves to be loved. And with every smile Botox now wears on his face, the world is reminded that no life is too broken, no soul too scarred, to be worthy of kindness.